For the last several minutes, Grace had heard the sound of quiet strumming coming from an undisclosed location, in a remote corner of the manor. Therefore she got up and started wandering down a long hall in search of the music's source. All along the way she found herself captivated by larger-than-life oil paintings of what could only be sundry black and Wetterton ancestors, usually posing in nearly regal attire. Halfway down the winding hall, she witnessed a dining room aligned with rows of standing knights' armor statues. The room was dark, however, dimly lit by two candlestands far off on opposite corners at the long end of the room, and the light flickered and danced off the shiny metal figures. A chill ran down her spine, and quickly she hastened off towards the sound of the music. When she reached the end of the endless hallway, she came up to a heavy door made up of bolted plies of wood, the sound of the guitar coming clearly from within. As the door had been left open a crack, she carefully pried it open. But when it creaked ever so slightly, the torch that had lit the room went out, as if blown by a burst of wind, and the music stopped dead in its tracks. A sudden cold sweat and sharp goosebumps covered every last inch of her lately freckled skin.
"Lucas? Is that you?"
The room was silent as the grave. There was no reply, and it felt hideously cold. Surmising that she had made a grave mistake, she turned around and quickly ran back down the long corridor she traversed. Grace would not return to the manor for over 4 years, nor did she see Lucas during all that time, and land on the heliport on the roof of his building, which he also owned. A dreary, frosty night met young Lucas when he arrived at Shadwell, as the estate was called. Taking up his traveller's satchel and guitar case, he alighted onto the rooftop, underneath the biting cold of the swift air being cut from above by the chopper blades. Inside, Oliver was awaiting his arrival fireside, with a tilted cup of brandy, robed in a gallant and finely detailed thick-spun kimono and plush slippers. He did not look away from the bewitching effect of the dancing flames when Lucas walked in. Yet he began. "How was your flight, Luke?"
"It was good, Uncle."
Lucas had been encouraged to refer to him as Uncle Oliver since he had use of reason, and it stayed with him. "Step into the light, my boy, so that I may see how you've grown." Lucas stepped out from behind his uncle's tall-backed armchair and around his left before the fire. His army-issue satchel hung off his left shoulder, and his guitar case off his right. For the first time, Cromwell deigned to countenance his guest. "Oh, there you are, Luke. Just as strapping as ever. By God, you've grown quite a bit. About as tall as me now, perhaps." There was a tinge of sincerity in his voice, but Lucas could not be sure. Oliver Cromwell was almost as famous for his oily, deceptive tongue as for his avarice and killer sanguine business instincts. One does not climb to the top echelons of the financial world by being an honest putz. Always polite and deferential, Lucas acquiesced.
"Thank you, my lord. It's been quite a while now."
4 years, Lucas. 4 years since your parents took their graves." There was something oddly cold and indifferent about the way Oliver phrased that statement. It certainly came off as irreverent. Took their graves. Even inexperienced and simple young Lucas took note of it. You don't take anything unless you purpose to. Regardless, he looked the other way at the comment, and this action manifested itself physically, which old Oliver noted in turn. "All I mean to say is that I'm glad you're here. I feel as though I may have neglected you a bit, though I know you are and will remain too much of a gentleman to ever call me to account. That said, I've left you to your own devices, because I'm apprised of your fiery and independent spirit. That spirit you so brilliantly mask in quiet modesty. You know, you're a lot like your father. He was also the silent, courageous type. He always seeked to do good with a portion of the firm's returns, always looking for ways to give back in the form of non-profit endowments.